Hi. Well, today our lesson is going to be about eggs. It's a holiday weekend. People celebrate Easter this weekend. Some do, some don't, but it's a pretty popular thing to dye eggs. And I thought maybe we'd have a lesson. Now, eggs can be cooked in a lot of different ways. They do a lot for a recipe. They bind things together like salmon patties, meatloaf. They leaven. They can make things rise if you use the like meringue on a pie. They thicken if you add them to different sauces that calls for eggs. They coat. You can run like chicken or fish, and then the breading on top, and it helps it stick. They emulsify, which means they're bringing two things together that don't normally mix, like oil and vinegar. And if you do that slowly, you'll have homemade mayonnaise. They clarify. There's some soups, and you can put some egg in that, and it'll make it clear. They add shine to bread products. There's just so many things. There are souffles, which eggs make rise. There are sauces, and you can fix them scrambled, fried, poached, baked, and you can make omelets out of them, and they're nutritionally very, very good for you. They do not have vitamin C, but they have most of the other essential nutrients. So today we also need to talk about raw versus cooked. It isn't a good idea to ever eat raw eggs in cookie dough or anything because they can carry what's called salmonella, which is a type of food poisoning. So always make sure you cook your eggs. And some people like to eat raw eggs because they think it's a bodybuilder with the protein, the high protein in the egg. But actually, eggs never lose their nutrition. So eating a cooked egg is the same as eating a raw egg. Eating eggs in cake also gives you some nutrition. You have to watch your calories there. But eggs do not lose their nutrients. So in honor of this holiday, we are going to dye eggs. And I have some cups ready with the dye tablets. Now, you don't have to go buy the pre-prepared tablets to dye eggs. You can use food coloring. You can use natural things like onion skins, beet juice, blueberries that are crushed up with that juice, onion skins. There's just a variety of natural things out there. But what we do to activate our tablets, which I have for the ease today, is we add vinegar. Vinegar actually is an acid, and it breaks down the colors, whether you're using food coloring from home or the tablets. So I have some pre-measured cups. So the vinegar's acid will break that down. And we'll get our egg dyes started. Another popular thing to do at Easter time are deviled eggs. So we'll let those sit and start stirring a bit. And maybe some of you don't celebrate Easter. Well, let's talk about kind of where Easter eggs and Easter bunny that's going to come to some of your houses. So the Easter bunny hides the eggs. Bunnies have a lot of babies when they have that. And so the Easter bunny hides the eggs and they celebrate new life. Eggs celebrate new life. They celebrate spring, or for Christians, it celebrates a resurrection of new life. So even though it is a really fun holiday to do, dyeing the eggs is part of the fun. So what we're going to do, if you get any kind of crayon, you can write on. I have already hard cooked these eggs. Now, you really shouldn't boil the eggs. You should hard cook them. The best way to do this is you put your eggs in the pan of water on the stove. You bring it to a boil, turn off your heat, and put a lid on it for 20 minutes. And the egg will come out very, very nice on the inside. I will show you one because if you overcook eggs, they can get rubbery and tough. And I think most of you have probably seen some eggs that are green in the middle, and that means they were just kind of overcooked. So I am going to, excuse me, I'm going to go ahead and slice this one open. Now, an overcooked egg, this one has a slight green tint to the middle, not too overcooked, but I may have left them in my pan just a hair longer than I should have, and it cracked. So I wanted to show you what the inside looked like. All right, I'm using a plastic spoon, going to stir our dye up with our vinegar a little bit. Don't want to mix my green and orange together. So I'm going to write on some of these eggs. First one, I'm going to put a big K on there for Caden. And that's going to be his special Easter egg. I'm going to put a couple swirls on there and I'll show you what happens. Now that our eggs are mixed up well, we have to add room temperature water. And we're going to drop Caden's in the blue cup and let it sit. The longer it sits, the better the color is. The next one we're going to do is for Sloan. We're going to put a big S on there and some squigglies to make it interesting looking. And for Sloan, I would like to do pink. That pink's not really bright, so I'm going to take a little bit of normal food dye in red, and I'm going to make it a little stronger color-wise. A couple drops of food coloring in there, and that'll make us a brighter pink color. So I'm going to add that in. I may also do that with the blue, because we want the color to really pop. Yellow. I like bright colored eggs when I'm dyeing them. You know, deviled eggs, egg salad is always popular if you have too many left over after Easter. Okay, we're going to put one in plain. We'll use orange. Now, I do like to sometimes dip them half and half, but for today's demonstration, we are just going to go ahead and keep them one solid color. I'm going to write some more on here. And this one's going to be yellow. And this one's going to be green. Okay, so we're going to let those sit and soak so we can get the good color going on those. And I'm going to show you a recipe with eggs. That is a favorite that you can do, and it breaks the boredom of some of the other egg cooking that you might be doing. So what we're going to do here is called Toad in the Hole. Some people call it Easter baskets, but I have to turn my heat up just a little here. Remember, we don't want to overcook the eggs so they don't get tough and runny. And what Toad in the Hole is it's like a toast. And what you do is you're going to take the middle out of it. And I have already put margarine in my skillet. And I'm going to coat both of the edges of the bread. We're going to wait a few minutes. and we are going to crack the eggs. Now, you should never crack an egg on a mixing bowl because you could transfer germs that way and bacteria. So we're going to crack it on the table, but we're going to transfer it to this small measuring cup. And then as we go, see the holes and they're cooking? You're going to transfer this egg into the middle of that hole. And the egg is going to cook in the middle. I think this is a really fun, tasty way to have eggs. A little bit more about the Easter celebrations, which we all like to stuff ourselves with candy and things like that. So where did those candy eggs come from? Well, a long time ago, Cadbury, which is a pretty popular name, I think you know of Cadbury eggs. John Cadbury had a chocolate Easter egg or had a piece of chocolate in France in 1842. And by the first Cadbury egg or chocolate egg was in 1875. So that's been a long time ago, and I think we've enjoyed it ever since. So now we're waiting. We're waiting for our egg in our toast to cook. And now we're going to check our dyed eggs and see how they're turning out. The blue, see how bright that blue is? And our K turned out really awesome. I think it helped putting the extra food dye in there. Oops. I'm gonna let the pink one soak a little longer. The green one turned out very nice, and see how the initials and the things I drew on it turned out. My tongs are a little slippery here. Bright yellow. Now, you could do lessons, and here's the orange one. I'm going to let the pink one still soak a little bit because I like that bright color. What I'm going to do with these eggs in part 2 of our video today is we are going to make an Italian Easter bread with it. So I'm going to let the eggs cool off before I do lesson 2. So I'm flipping my bread over, kind of like if you've made grilled cheese before, and the egg is cooked in the middle. So we're going to let that cook just for a little bit more because I don't prefer runny eggs in the middle. Some people do. It's called over easy cooking. So, so I'm hoping that you will get to try some of these things and look up some interesting egg recipes. And I will show you what the finished product looks like. It's a great way to eat eggs. It's hidden in there. The back, which I will finish cooking, looks like that. And you have it all nice in one little package. Thank you. And I hope you have a great holiday weekend.